How's everybody going? My name is Ruffin. I am from Seller Labs. I am kind of the PPC guru slash nerd. I like data a lot, and I like advertising as well. So I specialize in sponsored product ads on Amazon. I also work with AMS as well. That's the vendor central side of things too. I'm a specialist in both of them, and I do management for sellers on Amazon. I actually can take over their account and do it for them. I also do training, webinars. I speak about this all the time because, like I said, I'm a pretty big nerd when it comes to stuff like this. If you have questions about any of this, please catch me at any time after this, throughout the weekend. I also have some one-on-one sessions that I can do as well. I'm always down to talk about this. I'll be at the game tonight as well. We can talk about PPC there. I can't really talk much about baseball, but we can talk about PPC, so just grab me there as well. So today I'm going to be talking about how to really use PPC effectively. I've been working with a lot of sellers, and I've been doing this for quite a while now, and I've seen ways of doing things wrong, and I want to teach people how to do it better and to get the most out of your sponsored product ads that you have running on Amazon. But first, a little bit about Seller Labs. We're kind of getting more and more well-known in the Amazon, atmosphere, but we actually started as Amazon sellers. Both of our founders actually used to sell on Amazon, and they started making tools to make it easier for them. They wanted to have a tool that helped them do their automated messaging, and that actually became Feedback Genius. And that's still one of our most popular tools that we offer today. And they decided to make that tool, and they decided to just continue making software because that's really where their passion was. They still sell on Amazon, but they really focus more now on the software itself. So we've helped over 40,000 active Amazon sellers, and we've managed over $13 billion in Amazon sales in 2017, and that number continues to grow every day. And we've also, this is my favorite, I've also helped manage over $10 million per month in ad spend. And that's just with our tool Ignite that we have. That's our sponsored product ad tool that I am a big fan of for reasons that you all know. Now, what you can expect today is really to learn more about sponsored product ads. And to begin, we're going to talk about what are sponsored products. Like, what are these? Why do you need them? Also, where can you find sponsored product ads? You probably see these all the time. You probably know where they are, but they're actually getting better at hiding them on Amazon, so they're not as obvious. And then we're going to talk about how to win with sponsored product ads as well. And then common pitfalls. This is going to be probably the best portion, I believe, for the common pitfalls because it's going to be a lot of stuff that you may be doing already. No offense to you at all, I'm not being mean. But there are some things that people do without knowing, and it can really ruin your chance to actually get the type of return that you want on your sponsored product ads. Then finally, we'll have a little bit of a time for Q&A. We may not have as much time as we planned because of the technical difficulties, but like I said, you can grab me at any time. Ryan in the back also, he's hiding behind that book bag. He's actually also well-versed in PPC as well. You can grab either one of us to answer any questions that you have. So to begin, what are sponsored products? Sponsored product ads, sponsored products, are really just where you are paying Amazon to advertise your product for you. This is the best way to get your product in front of people that may want to buy your product without you having to just rely on organic traffic. Sponsored product ads can appear all over the place. They can show up on computers, tablets, and phones as well. And there's multiple different types of unique placements that you can get with sponsored product ads that help you target people that are searching for particular keywords. If you have an apple slicer, you can create a sponsored product ad that targets people that are searching the term apple slicer. Sponsored product ads are a way to get your product and your well-developed listing, hopefully, in front of people that are looking for terms that have to do with your product. Now, there's 3 ways to drive traffic to your listing. You probably know about all of them. The first one, of course, is going to be that organic traffic. And organic traffic is just like what you build up over time by having the keywords that you need in your listing and just the type of traffic that Amazon gives you over time. Next is going to be off-site traffic. This is from Facebook, Google AdWords, Instagram, things like that, where you're targeting people outside of Amazon and possibly leading them back to your Amazon listing. Then finally, it's paid advertising. This is more what we're talking about today. This is the sponsored product ads. This is where you're paying to have those ads placed in certain positions on Amazon to get people's attention so they'll come back and actually look at your product and more than likely, hopefully, buy it as well. And this really is the easiest and most cost-effective way to get that traffic. Sponsored product ads are not that scary. They may seem scary to a lot of people, but they're really not. They're very cost effective because you can actually see how your conversions are doing. Unlike with Google AdWords or ads on Facebook, it's hard to actually track exactly if people are buying your product. With sponsored product ads, you can actually see exactly how many people saw it, how many people clicked on the ad, and then also how many people actually made a purchase that was driven there by that sponsored product ad. So that's why it's the easiest and most cost-effective way to drive traffic to your listing. So really fast, I want to take a poll. Who all in here is currently doing sponsored product ads? That's actually usually the opposite, so I love that. If you have any hard questions, definitely get at me. Those are my favorite questions, so please, anything hard, let me know. But for the small percentage actually that actually didn't raise your hand, or if you've only been doing sponsored product ads in a small amount, just auto-targeting campaigns and nothing too strenuous on Amazon, you definitely need to jump on it. Because this is pretty much needed now to get sales on Amazon. This is needed to drive traffic to your listing, whether it's a well-developed listing or this is a new listing that you just put up yesterday. Sponsored product ads are the best way to get that traffic. And even by the numbers, Amazon's ad business is actually growing faster than both Google's and Facebook's. And this is mind-blowing because there's ads all over Facebook and Google. They feel like they're 90% of the content sometimes. And Amazon is actually set to outpace that and outgrow that market. And Amazon sponsored product ads account for 82% of its marketplace ad spend. It's ridiculous. It's blowing up so fast. Even just last year at this time, it was not this well developed as it is now. They're rolling out new features. A lot more people are coming into this space and they're jumping on this. So that's why you want to get on this before it becomes too competitive. Because the more and more people that start doing sponsored product ads, the more competitive it gets and the pricier it gets. Those bids start going up. It costs you a lot more money to get those clicks that you really want. So definitely jump on this now and be aggressive. Be aggressive in the place, get the traffic that you need, and start mastering this before everybody else gets on the bandwagon as well. Now this is really one of my favorite parts because a lot of people know where sponsored product ads, but there's some that are actually a little harder to find. And I want to kind of show you just some examples of sponsored product ads and explain what they are and why they're important. So to begin with, the top one that we see, this is a headline search ad. This is the first ad that pops up. It's like a banner, and it has 3 different products in there for someone that's advertising their products towards you on Amazon. This is going to be at the top of the page. This is only available if you have brand registry, but it is something that is really, really awesome. People that are doing private label or they have vendor central as well. You can get access to this. And then beneath that, you're going to see the normal sponsored product ads. These are the first results that you see whenever somebody searches apple slicer on Amazon. So this is already showing you why it's so important to have sponsored product ads, because you already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ads as the top results on Amazon. Even if you're ranking number 1 organically, you still have 5 other ads ahead of you. And this is where that competition comes into play. If I am just a new seller and I don't have a high organic ranking yet, but I have a lot of traffic being driven for a particular keyword, let's say apple slicer, and I'm bidding very, very competitively for it, and I'm running both auto-targeting and manual targeting campaigns for it, I can have this placement. I can have placement on someone else's listing as well. Because sponsored product ads are going to be on your competitors' listings. With auto-targeting campaigns, you can actually have your product show up on someone else's listing as a suggested product. When someone is viewing an apple slicer on Amazon, Amazon throws all these other similar products in their face. And this is why auto-targeting campaigns are really important to have. Because then you can show up and can say, oh, here's some sponsored product items that are related to this item you're already viewing, right there. And they go even further to where when you actually add a product to your cart, they throw more ads at you. That's the next one. You've already got an item in your cart. You're like, you know what? I'm about 75% sure I want to buy this. And they're like, well, here's some more. Here's some more products to look at. That's also from an auto-targeting campaign, by the way. So they're already advertising when someone's about to buy your product and they're going through that process. And then, I don't have a picture of this because I didn't buy anything recently. If someone buys a product, there's a thank you page where they say, thank you for buying this product. Why don't you spend some more money? And they have even more ads there. Once again, those are from auto-targeting campaigns. So this is why it's important to have these ads, because all these placements will help you get the conversions and the traffic that you want on your listings on Amazon. And once again, it's good to have both manual and auto-targeting campaigns to get this type of placement. So now that we understand the placement, we kind of understand what sponsored product ads are to some degree. I want to tell you now how to win with sponsored product ads. And this is just kind of a system and kind of just a method that we've used for a while when it comes to the clients that I work with, or just fooling around and figuring out new ideas. And the way you win with sponsored product ads is spam. And it's not the delectable meat that everybody loves. This is actually a system, a process, and metrics. So that's spam for you. This is just a good way to know what to look out for when you're going through sponsored product ads. You want to have a system in place that you can follow through. You want to have a process that you can use to actually act on that system, and especially you want to know what metrics you want to monitor as time goes on. And we all know that sponsored products can be hard. There's a lot of data to begin with. There is just a lot of information out there. There's lots of metrics you're supposed to watch. Some of them don't matter, some of them do. And there's a lot of numbers. There's lots of spreadsheets usually, unless you're using Ignite. And it's just a lot thrown at you all at once, and it can be really, really overwhelming. There's also new terminology. There's terms like ACOS, CPC, CPS, headline search, AMS. Crazy words. And there's not really just an easy way to find out what all these mean. So once again, it can be really overwhelming. And this causes a lot of people to really try and give up. Too many times I've had people that come to me like, Edward, I did sponsored product ads for a month. I don't really know what I was doing, so I quit. Because it's a lot. It is a lot at once. But that's why if you follow through with spam, you can really have this in place, and you can work on it over time, and you can keep things more together. It won't be as scary to you. It'll be a little less overwhelming. And it's a very simple system. These are the steps that I use. I'm going to go through these one at a time, so you don't have to memorize all these right now. But the first step is determining your target ACOS, structuring your campaigns for success, using profitable keywords and user search terms, optimizing your bids to drive traffic, and then also checking your campaigns once or twice a week. And this is kind of the system that I use to make sure that my ads are profitable and I'm getting the traffic that I want and I'm not losing anything in the process. So the first one, determining your target ACOS. Who all in here knows what the target ACOS is on all the products that they're offering on Amazon? Nice. You guys know what you're doing. That's pretty cool. Everybody else, that's fine. A lot of you may be asking, what the heck is an ACOS? Is that French? Is that a secret organization? Is that like the Illuminati? It's not, don't worry. It's actually your advertising cost of sale. And this is pretty simple. Your ACOS is your ad spend, so how much you've spent on your ads in a certain amount of time, divided by how many sales you got from those ads in that same amount of time. That's your ACOS, okay? You're going to hear this term a lot. This is what a lot of people use for their goals, and a lot of people really focus on just this. This is pretty important to know. Now, to determine your target advertising cost of sale, or ACOS, you first need to determine your business goal. And when I say business goal, this can vary for everybody. If you are coming into a new marketplace and you want to be extremely aggressive, that's fine. But you have to know that you're willing to spend more on your ads to get that type of traffic. So that's where I say, are you willing to spend a lot or a little? If you want to spend a little bit on ads, just over time, just to get some type of traffic, you're spending less. You may want to have a lower ACOS. If you want to spend more, and you're being more aggressive, and you want to get as much placement as possible and get out your competition, and get more and more clicks over a short amount of time, You may have a higher ACoS. You may be willing to have 100% ACoS just because you want to get that placement. In very competitive marketplaces, that's normal. In things like the supplement marketplaces, multiple clients I've worked with have said, 100% ACoS is okay, because if we're spending all our money on the advertising in the front end, we're not really making any money there, that customer will come back and buy another product because they know what their business goal is. They're ready to be aggressive. They're ready to spend more on their ads, and that's fine. But you also want to know what your break-even is on your products. And this helps you determine what your target ACoS is. It lets you know how much can you spend and still be profitable. How much money can I put into ads and still take some money home afterwards? So to do that, you first need to know what your profit margin is for a product. And this is like this is your take home. Like this is how much you're actually making off of a sale. This is after your fees, your overhead, your cost for your product. So if your profit margin for a product is 30% after all that, your break even for that product or that campaign is 30%. If you spend 30% on your advertising, you're breaking even. You're not really taking any money home, but you're able to get that sale and get that conversion that leads back to Amazon's algorithm and says, hey, this product is moving. If your ACoS is less than 30%, you can see a profit. And this is the goal for pretty much everybody. So everybody wants to make money. They want to see their ACoS get lower and lower. If they're at a 30% ACoS right now, they may want to get down to like a 15%. Because they know, okay, cool, I'm making some money back on this sale. I'm not just throwing money out and hoping that it works. And you can use this target to help you really measure your performance. This is one of the main targets people use to see how their campaigns are doing. They can look at just the ACoS on a campaign and see how it's going. Of course, as you learn more, you'll learn that there's other metrics you want to monitor as well, but this is the main one that you can use to start, to know if you're breaking even or if you're actually spending more money than you're actually getting back. Now the next step is structuring your campaigns for success. I don't care how awesome your product is, if your campaigns are terrible and they're not set up to grow and expand as you get more sales, you're not really doing it right. Once again, you're kind of throwing things at the wall, hoping that it sticks. But before I really get into the campaign structure, everybody needs to know that you have to optimize your listings. You can have a well-developed campaign that has extremely high bids, has a $3,000 daily budget, and you're willing to spend all the money that you want to. You're targeting all the right keywords. None of that matters if your listing is not optimized. It's no point in telling all your friends about this awesome restaurant and selling it to them and telling them that's great when it's actually a terrible place to go eat. Nobody's going to get there and actually buy anything. It's kind of the same thing here. If you're advertising a product and your listing doesn't tell the consumer anything about the product, what it does, doesn't have great images, doesn't actually have the right keywords in it, you're not going to convert. And this leads to a high ACoS. It leads to a high amount of wasted ad spend. Focus on your listing first. Optimize your title, description, images, the bullet points, the back-end keywords especially, and the customer questions too. Focus on all that, so that way when you're driving all this traffic and you're being competitive with your sponsored product ads, it's actually converting for you. What's the point in advertising if you're not getting sales? There really isn't one. You can say it's for fun, but then you're just spending money on having fun. That's a weird way to have fun. So optimize your listings first. Then you can structure your campaigns to drive the right type of traffic back to that listing. And the way that I structure my campaigns, this is kind of across the board, is I first of all group like products together. If I'm selling a red apple slicer and a green apple slicer, I group those together. Because both of those products share the same keywords 99% of the way through. There may be some keywords like green apple slicer that will not convert for red apple slicer, but they're going to show up for apple slicer for kitchen. They share enough keywords that by grouping them together, it makes it a lot easier to monitor the success of that campaign. Next, I have 3 ad groups. And the way I do my ad groups is I do them based on the match type of keywords. I have a broad match ad group. I have a phrase match ad group, and then I have an exact match ad group. And the reason I do this is because in that way I can change the bid at those ad group levels, and it will affect all the other keywords inside of it. I can also move a keyword from one ad group to another and make it a negative in the other one, so I'm not bidding on it in 2 places and splitting my impressions. It's just easier for management over time. And then finally, like I said before, have one auto-targeting campaign and one manual targeting campaign. This is one of the most important tips that you can ever see. You need to have both of those. They both give you unique placement. They both have a different purpose. Manual allows you to be more competitive, when auto-targeting is just really letting Amazon do all the work for you. You also want to have an auto-targeting campaign because it'll tell you right off the bat who is searching for your product. With an auto-targeting campaign, you'll have a full list of user search terms that show you, hey, this is what was searched that led back to your listing. This is what Amazon thinks your product is. Because in an auto-targeting campaign, you can't say, Amazon, I want to show up for all the searches for apple slicer. Amazon looks at your listing and determines what your product is just based off of that. There's not somebody at Amazon who all day is going through and trying to find out what each product is. There'd be a lot more employees if that was the case. With an auto-targeting campaign, Amazon analyzes your listing, your keywords, and then drives traffic back to it based on that. That's giving you information that's telling you, okay, this is what Amazon thinks my product is. Is it right or is it wrong? If you're advertising an apple slicer and you're showing up for barbecue gloves, you need to go back and revisit your listing. You need to see why you might be showing up for that. That's why it's important to have both an auto and a manual targeting campaign. Next, this is a good one. Using profitable keywords and user search terms. A lot of you are probably asking, hey, aren't keywords and user search terms the same thing? Aren't they just like interchangeable? Don't they mean the same thing? And the answer is, no, they're not. In no way at all, shape or form, they are not the same thing. So simple breakdown, a keyword is the words that you want to manually target with your sponsored product ads. A keyword is the one where you say this is a broad match, a phrase match, or an exact match. A keyword is you are targeting a specific phrase or a keyword, and you are driving that traffic. You're telling Amazon, I want to show up for this. I want to get some clicks and some impressions on this keyword. The search term is actually what led back to that keyword. This is actually what an Amazon shopper searched that led back to that keyword that you're targeting. If the keyword is, let's just say, apple slicer, as a broad match, so I can include a lot of different search terms. That's my keyword, apple slicer as a broad match. My search term could be kitchen apple slicer, red apple slicer. That's what someone physically typed into Amazon that led me back to that campaign for that product. So that's the difference between a search term and a keyword. You have to know that difference. Here's some more examples. On the outside, we got the red in the outside. That's the broad matches for the keyword apple slicer. You see green apple slicer extra sharp, slicer case for Apple iPhone 6s. You have to think that if you're targeting something as a broad match, you will get a lot of different search terms leading back to it because it's a broad match. That can mean words before, in the middle, or after of that phrase or keyword that you're going after. You want to know that a search term is what's actually being searched that led back to that keyword. As we go down, we see the phrase match for apple slicer. We see 12-piece apple slicer, 10 wedge apple slicer, and then exact match would be apple slicers, apple slicer, and apple slicer. It's just misspellings, plurals, and then like in an article before it. We'll get questions at the end. Is that fine? So when it comes to keywords and user search terms, you want to pinpoint exactly what keywords or search terms are driving traffic as well as conversions. This means looking at it as a keyword, like to exactly see what keywords are doing well, but then diving into the search terms and seeing exactly what was searched that led back to that keyword. Don't stop at just the keyword level. Go deeper into the search terms. That's where all the real data is. That's where you can see exactly what was searched that led back to that. If it doesn't make sense, make it a negative. If it does make sense, you may want to actually extract it and make it its own keyword. So you want to look at that user search term data. Once again, that's just data that Amazon's giving you. It's just saying, hey, here's what they actually searched and what actually led back to that keyword, and then it converted. Or here's this one search term that 35 people searched that has nothing to do with your product. Set it as a negative. Never stop at just the keyword level. Go deeper into the search terms. You also want to optimize your bids to drive traffic. This is pretty easy. Keep your bids higher on well-performing keywords. On keywords that are converting, they're getting clicks that are leading to those conversions and actually getting you sales. You want to have a more competitive bid there because it's providing the traffic that you want. If you have keywords that are not converting as well, but they are converting to some degree, just lower the bid. There's no use in spending $3 to $4 on a click on a keyword that converts once every 30 clicks. So you lower your spend on that keyword. Bring it down slowly over time. You don't have to go ahead and immediately pause it or set it as a negative. You can just lower the spend so you're not showing up as frequently for it. Or you maybe get a different placement with a lower bid. And the final thing is patience. If I had a nickel every time someone said, Edward, this campaign sucks. Okay, well, how often are you checking it? Every day, a couple hours, Why? Monitor your campaigns at a distance and do not overcheck them. It's best to compare this to kind of like a 401k. I don't check my 401k every day. I'm busy, but it's also just not a good idea because it goes up, it goes down. Same thing with a campaign. You may have one day that has just one conversion, and the next day you have 16 conversions, and it makes up for your lack of conversions the day before. So I usually say check your campaign data every one or two days throughout the week. This gives your campaigns time to actually gain usable data. So that's the impressions, the clicks, and the conversions. It gives it time to gain that information that you can then dive into. Now, of course, around Prime Day or Black Friday, or if you have a very seasonal item, you do want to check it more at those peak times because you're going to be getting more data in a shorter amount of time. So like Black Friday and Q4, I say check it 4 or 5 times a week because it's more traffic, more impressions, more clicks, more data that you can use. This all sounds really simple, right? Yeah, probably not. Probably just went over some of your heads. Sorry about that. You can definitely get the slides and go back through it. But the common pitfalls are the things that I really want everybody to take away from this. I'm going to go through them really fast, and then I'll talk about them in depth. First one is using irrelevant keywords, auto-targeting cruise control, keeping your bids too low, and then checking too often. So here they all are again, so you can round them down, whatever you want to do. The first one is using irrelevant keywords. This kind of goes back to what I talked about before. A lot of people will keep irrelevant keywords and search terms inside their campaigns, and I don't know why. If you're getting clicks and they're not converting, then either lower the bid or set them as a negative or pause them. Get rid of them because you're just wasting money at that point. Even if you have a very, very large account and you're doing $20,000 in ad spend in a 30-day period, you could probably have about $5,000 of wasted ad spend that you could have gotten rid of because you can dive into it and find out exactly what's not converting and make sure you're not spending money on it going forward. So clean that up. Take time to do that. This is so important. You cannot have a successful campaign if you are not focusing your spend on the profitable keywords. And next is having an auto-targeting campaign on cruise control. So I said that auto-targeting campaigns are important and you should have them, but you have to check in on them. If you leave an auto-targeting campaign and just let it run and do whatever, and you have no idea what type of searches you're showing up for, you're wasting money. You want to dive into the auto-targeting campaigns, look at the search terms that are being driven by that auto-targeting campaign, set them as negatives, clean them up, and make sure you're not showing up for irrelevant search terms there. So dive into your auto-targeting campaigns the same way that you do your manual targeting campaigns. The next is keeping your bids too low. Nobody likes to spend money, and that's just what it is. I mean, with bids, you have to kind of pay the cost to be the boss. I hate that phrase. But you don't want to keep your bids so low that you're not getting any traffic. Amazon provides a suggested bid range, and so does Ignite as well. And I usually go towards the higher end of that to begin with because I want to be more competitive. I want to get more data in a short amount of time. So I start off with a higher bid. As time goes on, once I see that I'm not converting for certain ones, or I'm not getting as many conversions as I want, then I lower it back down. But you cannot keep your bids so low that you're not getting any traffic on them. It's not going to work for you. And then finally, checking your campaigns too often. I put this here again because it happens too often. Do not check your campaigns every day. Do not check them every hour. One of my colleagues actually does this, and it drives me up the wall. But he's my friend. So I let him do it, then I tell him why he shouldn't. But definitely give your campaigns time to breathe. Like, don't suffocate your campaigns. It is exciting, it is nerve-wracking because you're spending money, but if you have developed an awesome campaign and you have a well-developed product and a listing, it should convert well for you. Check into it every now and then. You can use Ignite also to help you out with this. Ignite can actually kind of send you some emails every now and then about your campaigns, but don't check them all the time. Give them time to have data that you can actually use. And this is kind of my spam. This is the system, process, and the metrics that I look out for when it comes to sponsored product ads. And like I said, with Ignite, this makes this a lot easier. Ignite's the tool that we offer. It actually will offer these types of suggestions on your campaigns for you. It'll tell you when to lower your bid, raise your bid, set certain terms as negatives, increase bids. It'll help you with those suggestions to get that optimization started. And also, I know if you have questions, you can, like Travis actually said, SellerLabs.com/Rocky. That's for Ryan and I this weekend. We only have 4 slots left. You can sign up for one of those tomorrow to have a 20-minute session with us to sit down and talk about your PPC or answer any questions that you have. But also, final thing, I wrote long paragraphs to really simple questions, because that's what I do. It's 6 questions every Amazon seller should be asking for better PPC. Some of these things are ones I kind of touched on lightly here, but I went into them in more depth, actually, on this website. And you can go there, read that. You can also sign up for Ignite for 12 months with 10% off for all 12 months. It's a great deal. And you just go to SellerLabs.com/RMRC18. And that's going to be, I mean, these questions are awesome. These are ones that I always get asked a lot. And I kind of just went crazy on the keyboard and answered them. But it's a lot of great data that you can use. And definitely sign up for Ignite. It's a tool that I use pretty much every day. Not on one account, like I said, I don't do it every day. But it's a really awesome tool that makes it easier to actually digest your data from your sponsored product ads. There's no more need to have those huge Excel spreadsheets that you have made. You can use Ignite instead. So I think at this time we have a few minutes. I can take a couple questions from some people. And also, like I said, you can meet with me after. During lunch, if I'm where you're going to be, anything like that, I'll definitely be glad to answer any questions.
So you gave us examples of where the automatic ads show up. Mm-hmm. Do the manual, so 2-part question, do the manual ads show up in the same placements throughout that buying funnel? And then number 2, does Amazon let you know where along that funnel you actually got that click or that sale?
So some of those placements are going to be unique to auto-targeting campaigns just because they are not as high and competitive. Mostly manual targeting campaigns will be on the primary search results because they are more competitive. They have a higher bid. You get that top placement. There's no real way to know exactly what step of the funnel that you actually showed up at a certain location. The only data that Amazon tells you about your placement with ads is whether it was top of search or other, and that's it. There's no way to know, okay, this product showed up on this sponsored product items related section right there. There's a product, it's a sponsored product placement report inside of Seller Central that you can download, and it shows all the campaigns that you got impressions for during the amount of time that you have chosen. And it shows all the campaigns and also shows whether they had top of search placement or other at that time. And that lets you know which campaigns are converting better at the top of page result. That's the only way you can really see that, unfortunately. But with auto-targeting campaigns, that'll be the only ones that gives you that the add to cart page and that after a sell page. That is going to be just auto-targeting campaigns because it's Amazon just trying to fill in space with other ads that they have. You got one more. Oh.
As someone that's fairly new to PPCs, I've heard conflicting advice regarding doing PPCs for things that's not your own brand or private label, but using them on either wholesale or OA or RA. Can you tell us how that works?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm a fan of using PPC whenever you can. Whether you're like, so you have to actually own the buy box to have the ad actually run. But whether you're doing wholesale, OA, or RA, you can still do it. You just have to make sure you have the buy box to do it. But I am one of those guys who's like, if you have the buy box, why are you not advertising? Because you want to get as much traffic to that ad while you have that buy box so you can increase your conversion rate for that period of time. So I still suggest running it for those periods of time where you have the buy box. Amazon says you just have to be buy box eligible, but it really does, like you have to actually have the buy box because otherwise you're driving traffic to someone else's product. So I always say capitalize on that time and drive traffic as much as you can. Be competitive if you can. I know, like, you know, with OA and RA, a lot of times you don't have as much of a margin, but still stay within it so you're still profitable. You know, it doesn't hurt to drive traffic that will convert. Just want to make sure when you're doing that, you want to target those high volume keywords that actually lead to conversions. Use a tool like Scope or something else to see what converts well on other people's listing, and also look at your listing to see what type of terms are converting well for them as well before you do that. Yeah.
You talked about the search ad, the placement, ad placement. Mm-hmm. Do you use and recommend the feature where they will increase your bid by 50% if you can be top result?
Yes. So Bid Plus is awesome when it works, just like everything else on Amazon. With Bid Plus, I only use it when I look at that product placement report. I never just turn on Bid Plus for just a campaign that I like. Instead, I download that report. I look back and see which campaigns converted the best when they had that top of page placement. If they converted really well and they had that top of page placement, then yeah, I'll turn it on. But if it's 50-50, like if I have a pretty high ACoS for that period of time and I'm not sure if I want to go with it, I will not turn it on. But it's just in your ad reports. You just download it. It's sponsored product placement report. Just look at the ones, and the ones that are converting really well with that top of page placement, you can turn on Bid Plus for that. And Bid Plus, guys, is where Amazon will actually increase your bid by up to 50% for you, just to make sure that you get better placement for those keywords that are actually converting well inside of a certain campaign. And Bid Plus is really cool because it gives you an extra chance to kind of make sure you're winning those placements. But you want to make sure you're actually converting when you have that placement to begin with that report. And it will not just be top of page placement like I talked about. It'll also be a middle of page as well, because Amazon actually says that sometimes people convert better when they're halfway through the first page of results. So they give you kind of both of those placements. So I'm a fan of it only if you have the data to back it up. Does that make sense? Cool. Any other questions? I got one more, I think. Yeah.
How long do you suggest the campaign should go? Like indefinitely when you have the product, or?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not telling you to give all your money to Amazon, but I'm a fan of having it running all the time. Of course, you can always dial back. You can always lower your daily budget. Like, people really get weirded out because they think that if a campaign's running, Amazon's going to take all your money. You can always dial back your daily budget. I have some clients that have campaigns that are only $5 a day because they don't want to run out of stock. They want to control their stock, or they're really happy with their organic placement, but they still want to show up everywhere else as well. So I'm a fan of running it all the time. I'm more of a fan of having a more competitive auto-targeting campaign running all the time, personally. Because with auto-targeting campaigns, that's constantly giving you new terms that people are searching to lead back to your product. You're constantly getting new terms that you can go after. You're constantly understanding what Amazon thinks your product is. You're also getting ASINs for competitor products. So I'm a fan of running them all the time, but it's just a matter of keeping your budget in mind and making sure that you're not just blowing out money. Because you can always lower your bid, you can always lower your daily budget, so you're not spending as much money in a 24-hour period. So I think that's it, guys. I think it's time for lunch, but definitely let me know if there's anything else at all.